right, ready or not, here we are live doing our 2025 MSP Marketing Planning Workshop. Last year when I did this, I was standing up, and I do use my hands a lot, so you'll have to just forgive me. I'm sitting down with this lovely new background that I have back here. So I'm Laura Johns, founder and CEO of the Business Growers. We have an action-packed webinar for you guys today. It's going to be a lot, and so we're going to jump right in. I'm going to share my screen. We are doing a lot of workshopping. This is actually called a workshop because it's a workshop. We're going to be doing a lot of workshopping today. And so as I move to share my screen, we're going to jump right in. I have some ground rules for everyone. Let's see, make sure it pulls up correct. Okay, yep, here we go. All right, your 2025 marketing plan. And I added the word your to this to make sure that it is your plan for your managed services provider or IT business. Today, here's what we're going to do. Here's what you can expect. We're going to set clear goals and targets for your year going into 2025. It is November. Thanksgiving's not even here yet. Now is the time to be setting your goals for 2025, not January. So this is what we're doing right now for you guys. Also, we're going to realign your KPIs. We're going to look at everything with a fresh start. Hey, what are our key performance indicators? Tracking, making sure we have all that set up to achieve the outcomes that you're trying to achieve. We're going to map out our plan and budget for 2025 on this call today. And we're going to understand who exactly your customer is. And a lot of that, a lot of you may be thinking, Laura, my unique value proposition and customer, what does that have to do with KPIs and tracking? Kind of different sets of the marketing, your whole marketing program, but equally very, very important. And we're going to, right here on this call today, set the foundation and complete your marketing plan for your managed services provider or IT business for 2025. If you're with me, give me a yay and YAY or yes or some sort of thumbs up just to let me know that you're with me and you're ready for this. And let's talk about ground rules. We are here right now for you. The only reason I got on today and have been promoting this, and my team's been promoting this like crazy, is because we want to see you be successful. And so for the next hour, let's be here right now. Let's put our participant hat on, which if you can put in the chat, if you are ready and you agree, you might know some of these things that we're going to talk about today. Some of them may be totally new concepts to you, but if you're willing to truly participate, put on that participant hat, type the word participant in chat so that I know that you're here to participate. I just ask that you do yourself a service and put your phone on silent, dedicate this next hour to shut out distractions and give this planning workshop that is built for you your 100% focus. For those of you who may be wondering who in the heck I am, I'm Laura Johns, founder and CEO of the Business Growers. We help managed services providers and IT businesses grow every single day with our core marketing programs that are designed for MSP marketing success. And one thing I'm here today to help you do is grow $1 million in revenue in the next year. And this is the plan and the foundation to be able to do that. You'll see that I've spoken at a couple of various marketing industry events. You can certainly look me up. Look, we have a great YouTube channel you can look up. We give resources and insight to managed services providers every single week. Of course, if you have seen me out and about before, you'll see that I have worked exclusively with managed services providers for quite some time. This is our bread and butter. This is what we do at the Business Growers, and this is what I love to do, is help managed services providers grow. So that's who I am. Enough about me. Let's set some goals. All right. Number one, set clear goals. Now, each of you are going to see this link right here. And if you will, just open a tab, a separate tab in whatever browser you're using, and go ahead and type in this URL right here. You'll see, and Grace on my team should be dropping this in the chat for everyone just to click and download. And you'll want to make a copy of this. We don't want to write, and I don't think you actually can, but we don't want to write on our copy. So make a copy of this. This is actually our workbook and what we're going to use today. So this is going to be your guide. This is going to take us through the whole day today. Make sure you make a copy. Go ahead and put it in your marketing planning folder that you have, whether it's Google Drive or whatever, OneDrive, whatever you have. Make a copy of this. Type in your company name, marketing plan 2025. And then I'm going to ask you to go to this worksheet. Go ahead and get this tab open as well. So if you also, Grace will drop this in the chat. It's worksheet, 2025 worksheet. Another tool that we're going to ask you just to make a copy of, have it ready and sitting. And I am going to move a little fast because we have a whole lot to go through in an hour. And I'm actually going to keep my phone available so that make sure that I don't go over to any section on time. But if we breeze through something and you didn't have a chance to fill it out or complete it, at the very end of this webinar today, this workshop today, you'll see a link. I invite you to schedule a time with me and we'll go through this together. No problem. All right. So one thing I'm going to ask you to look at, and I'll actually, and let's see if I can be clever enough to do this. I'm going to really try, guys, to grab my other screen. So I'm going to share, stop screen sharing. Here we go. Sorry, guys. I'm going to grab another screen real quick and go straight to the worksheet while you're looking at the workbook. Hope that everyone can see this screen. Thumbs up if you can't. Grace, let me know if something's wrong. Okay, so you'll see here, and I'm just going to type through this. I need everyone, just so you, as you're planning, actually this number should be 2025. You'll see, so change that 2025, but go ahead and type in, okay, what is your 2024? What will estimate what you'll end the year with your annual recurring revenue, what that will look like. And then secondly, you want to put, hey, here's my target. So if you're at $1 million in annual recurring revenue and your target is 1.5, you'll see here is my sample. Then we know that your annual new revenue goal for next year going into 2025 is $550,000. All right, so the next line will already kind of do a little rule of 78s and tell you what your monthly sales target is and monthly recurring revenue. And then this is an answer I cannot answer for you, but I need you to go ahead and put, what is your average total monthly recurring revenue per client? And each of you, just so you know, there is some instruction, a very detailed instruction video here that you can click on and watch after this workshop if you need to. So fill out your total average MRR value per client. And then it tells you, it populates, okay, how many new clients do I need to hit my goal? And then this also just tells me, hey, if I'm closing right now, whether it's 10%, 25%, whatever, and I would say kind of be conservative just to make sure that we don't overestimate ourselves, but be a bit conservative in what your conversion rate from sales is so that we know exactly how many leads you need per month to hit your target. And then benchmark cost per lead. And this is after, I actually think that you probably could look at a 150 benchmark cost per lead for MSPs. It kind of ranges between that 75 and 150 mark. And so here's my monthly budget required to hit my target from an ad spend standpoint. Now, if you look over here, you'll see, and that's to hit your goal of how many new clients required to hit your goal. You'll see here, we actually have it mapped out for you. Taking that annual revenue target goal that you've set, and I'm going to talk about digital, external, and internal marketing in just a minute, but we've basically mapped out your marketing budget for you. So you'll know how much to spend every month on generating new business. So again, not in an effort to not take up too much time just on that, go ahead and fill that out. Make sure that you have that completed so that we know exactly what our goals are as we move into 2025. I'm going to next share my screen back on so basically in your workbook, if you go back to your workbook, toggle to that tab, got a lot of toggling going on, but go ahead and insert, here's my existing number of clients, here's my average MRR. One thing that's important to note is what is your project percentage versus monthly recurring breakdown? I'm a big encourager of that monthly recurring revenue to help you, map out, scale, pay your people, and know that you can afford to pay your people. But you definitely, if you have a goal of eliminating that project revenue, and maybe you don't, but it is good to kind of take that into account and not count that project revenue as your recurring revenue when you're doing this type of planning. Put in your key metrics, and then go ahead and put in your future vision based on these calculations. How many clients do I want? What's the average monthly recurring revenue that I want? Where do I want my project percentage to be at the end of the year? If you don't, I always say, if you don't if you fail to plan, you will plan to fail. Sorry. That's a Benjamin Franklin quote. It's in the workbook. You'll see I just botched it, but no worries. Okay, so next, if you see in the workbook, and I'll try to just really quick toggle to the workbook here. And again, I'm not going to do this too much because I don't want to deter, but you'll see here, I'm asking you, where are you today? Put in this. And the big question is, when we boil it down, how many leads per month am I going to need in 2025 to achieve this according to the worksheet? And then the biggest question of all, why? Why is this important to me? Why is this important to my business? What will accomplishing this do for me? And write out your why right now. Take just a few minutes to do that. This is critical. So. All right. And again, if there's anything that you don't get to for whatever reason, don't worry. You can always go back to it and watch this again. Okay. Kind of going back to your why. Another big step, as you've planned your numbers, you know what goals you're trying to reach. Now, what makes you unique and who are your clients? So I put together this little graphic for those of you who can see. I want you to write down in the workbook the answers to these questions. You'll see in the workbook, we're talking about your unique value proposition. You'll see it referred to as UVP, but who do you primarily serve? And in your workbook, you'll see a lot of kind of tabs below on 2.2, more detail about your ICP. You can fill out a little bit more detail, but who do you primarily serve? Number one. What problems do you solve for them? What is your specific method or expertise, i.e., how do you do it differently? And you'll see some examples here on the slide. And then finally, we want to know what sets us apart. What sets your company apart or makes clients or your customers stay with you? And you'd be surprised how many folks actually don't do this work. So we're taking the time to do it now and set yourself up for success. Who do you primarily serve? What problems do you solve for them? What's your specific method or expertise? And what sets you apart? What's your key differentiator? And again, for the sake of time, we're going to move along. You can watch the recording immediately after this. The good thing about this platform that we use is it's available to you immediately. So you can go back, rework, pause, stop, write it down. But for the sake of time, we're going to move forward because here's what happens. Once you've written those answers down, then you write your unique value proposition statement. And this can become what you say. And I'll show you in a second a way that you can use it. But I help blank achieve desired outcome by what's your unique approach, utilizing what's your key differentiator. Here's a couple of samples here. Law firm specific, medical practice. If you don't have a specific industry you serve or niche, you can certainly say small business, enterprise, medium-sized businesses there. And here's just a quick example of how we, one of many ways that we use this at the Business Growers. There's mine. So we want to make sure before you get into doing any marketing in 2025 that you know what makes you unique, what sets you apart from those competitors in your local market, and how you're going to communicate what makes you different and why anyone should care. Essentially, that's your unique value proposition. If you do not have that dialed in, that's a whole exercise internally for you to do before the end of this year, 100%. Now, do you know your client? Knowing yourself, your unique value proposition. Now it's, do you know your client? This is our ideal customer profile. When my team onboards at the Business Growers, we're constantly trying to understand who our ideal customer is. Again, there's a section in your workbook where you can dial this in and write exactly who this person is. Again, I got a lot of things to share, but I'm going to show you this really quickly so you can see. I'm going to click on, if I can, you'll have to excuse me. I'm sometimes screen share illiterate, but I'm not going to show this in great detail, but I do want you to see how we've got our buyer persona dialed in. I mean, this is what we train on. Here's exactly what his core problem is, some of his biggest fears. This is how dialed in and detailed your company should know and should understand your customer, right? So we want to make sure that when we're dialing in who our ideal customer is, that we're asking ourselves all of those questions that are listed in your workbook so that we understand exactly who that person is, so that when we're building our content, building our communication, that we're able to dial in how we communicate. Okay, moving right along, service excellence, achieving service excellence. You know, I like to say you can't, I think there's another quote that's similar, but you really can't outsell a bad product. And so I think that it would be a disservice if we weren't talking about your current service offerings. Let's do an audit. So in your workbook, you'll see under section 3, achieving service excellence, you'll see an area where you can list your current service offerings. So go ahead and do that really quickly. I know it's more than 3, more than likely. If it's not, fine too, but go ahead and list. There's a place for you to do this. And then we want to also just address what services are clients requesting that you don't offer. And if you're not having this conversation on a very regular basis with your sales team, then that should be something you work into your regular practice, because we want to know, what are people asking for that we don't offer? Because you could either form a partnership with another company who does offer that and add revenue that way, or of course you could start offering it. We had a webinar just a couple of weeks ago or months ago, I guess it was probably a little over a month ago, with Jeff Zimmerman of the AT&T Partner Exchange. Great opportunity to add a new service, AT&T services, and still own that relationship. If you have not watched that, go back and watch that. You can look it up on our YouTube. Great opportunity if your clients are asking you for internet. But then list out what are some emerging technologies or services that you might want to integrate this year, because that's going to be a big part of your marketing planning, right? And you can go ahead and put those down here in the workbook, excuse me. Okay. Everyone who showed up. Laura, I thought this was a digital marketing webinar. It is. We're getting there. So I want to talk about 3 marketing focus areas. If you go back and look, there will be, and I'm going to mention this in just a second, there will be a link provided to a webinar that I did same time last year, or maybe it was January of this year. It was called the 2024 Marketing Plan. On that webinar, and I didn't want to repeat that verbatim because I felt like there was a lot of value there that you can just go back and rewatch. But we talked specifically about every single area of digital marketing and exactly what you need to be successful to set that up, what you need on your website, how you should do paid ads, Google Business Profile, all of those things. Go back and watch that. I'll provide the link to it here in just a second. Grace can also put that in the chat. But I want you to make sure that you're considering all areas of focus, specifically for managed services providers, and that you're thinking about the buyer's journey for your services. I show this graphic a lot. I've shown it on other podcasts and webinars. You've seen it before, more than likely if you've watched any of my content. But we need to remember that the likelihood, if you're trying to move from referrals, from an only referral-based business into hey, we have a consistent lead flow that we are successfully operating in using lead generation tactics with digital marketing, If you truly want to move in that, you need to understand that only 3% of your audience at any given time is ready to buy. And of those buyers, they are engaging at about 70% through the buying journey. That means they're doing their research. So you are essentially, with your marketing efforts, taking an unaware, clueless buyer to a point where they realize they have a problem. They want to figure out what's out there to solve their problem. And you can kind of see here the journey that they take. And so I often like to kind of debunk the myth that there is one lead gen solution. No one, wants to spend the money on some of the foundational marketing things. And the truth is, when you look at it this way, it's not just one thing. It is a cohesive marketing plan that integrates meeting them where they are. I like to call it omnipresence, making sure that you are showing up everywhere along the buyer's journey so that when they get ready to make a buying decision, of course, they're going to choose you because they've seen you all along the way, right? So in that kind of spirit, if you look in your workbook, you'll see there's 3 core focuses that I talk about. And this is also in that worksheet. You'll see how much budget I recommend to allocate to each of those 3. So number 1, internal marketing. This one gets, I would say, probably disregarded. And I feel like it's the lowest hanging fruit. We do usually typically recommend less budget as far as how much you're going to budget versus digital marketing or others. It's less budget required because it is low hanging fruit. But, here are lots of different areas where you need to make sure you can check these boxes. So in your workbook, you'll see, do I have a client communication strategy? Yes, we're checking in with clients regularly and delivering value to them. Are we sending them things that can educate them in our field of excellence? How often are we checking in? Is the renewal time the first time they're hearing from us? And if that is the case, then we need to make sure that we certainly focus on this year. Also, employee engagement programs. The better your culture, the better engaged your employees are, the more business you're going to generate just from internal referrals. If your employees are not happy or do not have an incentive to refer you business, then you will not get referrals from your existing team. And then just designing a system for employees or clients to refer business to you. Do we have an easy way and a very clear path to making them money or giving them gifts or something where they can get something if they have a little skin in the game? So developing those referral systems, and those generally don't cost a whole lot of money, especially for the revenue that you acquire from it. And remember, this is your lowest hanging fruit. Also, client education programs. Are you serving? That kind of goes back to client communication strategy. Are you giving your client something without them having to ask for it? Are you giving them help in their business as a business owner, giving them tools and resources? That's a huge thing that you could be doing regularly that helps you. That doesn't mean it's a salesperson reaching out or an account manager reaching out. It's just you serving them with value. Think Facebook group, think regular webinars or podcasts or emails that you can send them and deliver to their inbox to help make their day easier. What are some client education type programs that you can implement this year? So go ahead and spend time in your workbook. You want to write down, check the things that you are doing. If you're not doing it, leave it unchecked, because this is how we're going to develop our 2025 marketing plan. And then next, traditional outbound marketing. So these are things that are you being out and about. And this is, again, traditional outbound marketing. So community involvement, strategic partnerships. You can kind of see here, speaking engagements. I like to say I'm in a mastermind group with other agency owners. We say stage time is money time. If you can get on stage and help offer value at no cost to someone, the chances of that sticking in their brain and them remembering you down the road is huge. Local business networking, industry and vertical events. Go ahead and check what you're doing, check what you're not, because again, we want to make sure we're building one of these at minimum in every month or quarter, at very minimum every quarter, making sure that you've got this. I would say you want one of these things going on every month. So this is a good, just kind of checklist, go through this. What traditional outbound things are you doing to help grow your business locally, regionally, statewide, nationally? And then here's that link I was talking about. Grace is going to put that in the chat as well. But it's basically a copy of our last year's digital marketing 2024 plan, but it goes through your checklist for all of these things. And I didn't want to spend, since we're already half an hour in, I didn't want to spend too terribly much time focusing on this because we already have the content available to you. But these are things that are very, very important to setting yourself up for success. I kind of consider this webinar a version 2 or extension of that original marketing planning webinar. So if you, for whatever reason, have not seen it or have not had an opportunity, this is quite literally the checklist that you need to set yourself up foundationally for digital marketing success in all of these areas. So make sure you watch that marketing plan. And also in your workbook right now, just take a little time and go ahead and just, based on what you know today, yes, we've got our branding figured out. Yes, our messaging is on point. Our content is all rowing the same boat. Everyone's rowing the same boat on how we say what we do. Our website is built. It's converting. If it's not converting, that's one problem we need to solve. And I do talk about that in the 2024 marketing plan. But all that, again, is foundational and really important. So make sure you go back and watch that if you haven't already. And this is just, again, a quick picture of how our marketing growth programs work and how we work all of those key digital marketing things into our marketing programs at the Business Growers. You have to, it's a crawl, walk, run. Make sure that you don't, everyone is typically primarily only interested in lead generation. But like I said, kind of going back to that unaware buyer to ready to buy buyer, it takes effort, and it takes effort from a lot of different angles. So, all right. So we are into action plan. And if it looks like we have a lot of time, we have a bonus at the end of this. It's going to take a few minutes. So I don't want to spoil the bonus surprise, but let's go ahead and plan your focus for 2025. And I want you to take that worksheet, look at your numbers, go back to the very top of the workbook. Make sure that you've gone through all of 3 of these checklists, both internal marketing, external marketing, and just I put in the 4.1, 4.2, 4.3. Go ahead and put what are the 3 to 5 takeaways, things that you didn't check, things that you can confidently say, no, Laura, we do not have a plan for this. You will see that I linked in the workbook, the webinar, but the webinar from last year that you can go back and watch. Make sure you bookmark that, go back and watch it. But if there are things that you could not confidently check, that's what we move into the marketing action plan to do. So what are the areas where you feel like you need the most focus? And if you look at the marketing action plan in your workbook, you'll see that we have internal marketing. It should be external outbound marketing second instead of internal marketing again. Sorry about that, guys. I'm certainly flawed often, but internal marketing, you can change that. Second section is going to be external outbound, traditional outbound marketing. But go ahead and put in those sections what you need to do here. Yes, or X, or this is something we need to work on. And if you have a specific idea of what you should be working on in that particular area, go ahead and put this event, this conference, this BNI group, this chamber meeting. Here are the things, referral systems. Yes, we need an employee referral system, because this is really quite literally you building your marketing program. Once you find the holes of what you don't have yet, this is how we build the marketing program, right? So go ahead and plug those in and develop your own action plan. Remember, on that second set of blocks, you'll see, and I'll try to switch to it really quickly just to make sure we're all seeing. Nope. Hold on, stop share. Here she goes again, trying to be tech savvy. So I'm going to pop back up the workbook and make sure you put traditional outbound here. But go ahead and start filling in each of these boxes. Tell me exactly, and make sure you make a copy. Don't forget to make a copy. If you haven't already, you can't mark up this one, I don't think. But just go ahead and put in each of these, like, need to get this under wraps. I know this needs to be done, because this is you building your marketing plan. I'm gonna give you kind of the most time to do that, about a minute or two. If it feels like we're speeding through this, it's because we are, but I promise you can go back and watch immediately and pause. Don't forget to spend some time on watching the digital marketing plan from last year. And then at the very bottom of that section, let's go ahead and put, okay, we don't have to do it all at once, but guess what? Quarter one comes before quarter two, and that comes before quarter three. So top 3 takeaways, things that you know you need to implement in the first quarter of 2025. Go ahead and write those items down. We're going to move next into a really fun bonus section of today's webinar that will give you some, like, we're really going to workshop it. I'd love to I see somebody waiting on the bonus. I'd love to get a thumbs up if people are feeling good about starting to map out their plan. And we're going to head straight into that bonus. All right, who's ready? Okay, so this is probably what will cause a shift or change in your marketing plan for the year. That will really, if you consistently commit to doing this, this is what is going to bring in the $1 million. Okay, here we are. We're going to go ahead and create a year's worth of content right here. Like I said earlier, if only 3% of your total buying audience is ready to buy at any given time, then we know that that means that we have to be in their face, giving them value every single day. And so I'm a big fan of the book, They Ask You Answer. You'll see me talk about the book Story Brand when I talk about building your brand messaging framework. But in the workbook, again, tag this for your reading pleasure. Big proponent of this book. Love it. Because it basically tells you in the book, and it's a wonderful, well written by Marcus Sheridan. It basically explains to you in the book how your content that you are creating is what's going to create for you those leads that are coming in that are qualified and pre-positioned to buy, because guess what? They were looking for an answer to a problem and you solved it with your content. If you were all over the internet answering questions for your ideal customer, this is what moves the needle, folks. And this, of course, adding all of those things that we've already talked about. And today we're actually going to take this next few minutes and plan out your content. And I'd love to start by you going into the workbook and writing out these are the top questions. And I put some samples here. These may not be the questions that you're getting asked, but go ahead and write out the top 20 questions. And I'm going to show you a trick if you're not really sure. We can do that. We can do this another way as well, but it is really good for your team. This is a whole workshop that your team could do easily before the end of the quarter. Like, let's sit down and let's each write our list of 20 and then see where all of our questions overlap, because that's where you're really going to, I'd say, find exactly the type of content that you need to be focused on in 2025. But go ahead and write out what those things are. I'll give you a few minutes to do that. For those of you who are waiting for the bonus, we are here. It's bonus time. And then I'd love for you in the workbook to spend just a second checking the box or circling what you think you can reasonably produce internally on your own with a marketing partner, what format, if we're going to take all of these answers to these questions and put it in a format that we can distribute it. Here's some examples of those formats. It's not just blog content, people. We're just writing blogs. That's not going to do the trick. And then how am I going to distribute this? What are some ways that we can reasonably, either alone or with a marketing partner, distribute this content? You can see some samples here. Okay. Are you ready? And if you've watched my past webinar with my friend Jonathan Mast, he is an AI genius. He certainly helped with, he constantly provides value and helps with great AI prompts. So I'd love for you to go into Google Gemini right here. Again, I told you guys this was a workshop. So I'm going to stop sharing this and just share my whole screen really quickly. I think I can share my entire screen. Oh, let's see. Let's just do Gemini real quick. We'll do Gemini first. Okay. All right. So you can see I've already kind of done the work. But if you look at, I actually already did this. So you can see here. Go ahead and type in this prompt that I'm giving you on the screen, on the previous screen. You can see 30 topics right there. Actually, we'll have to switch back. I can't multitask here. Sorry, guys. So I'm going to have to go back to the actual prompt for you to see. But all of you can get to Gemini on your own, hopefully. So go ahead and get to Gemini. I'll show you guys the prompt. Fill in the blanks. Don't use what I've given you, but where you see it highlighted, you can type in business cybersecurity, whatever you specialize in, whoever your ideal customer is, small business, enterprise, and then click enter. You will love what you get back. You will have a nice, lovely grid of content topics. I would look at those and see how they line up with the ones that you just wrote down. Then prompt 2, staying in Google Gemini. Utilize this screen right here and go ahead and type this in. And put those formats that were appropriate for you. We can't assume that we all are going to use the same formats. If you can, great, for sure. But go ahead and type in this prompt. Give everybody a minute to do that. In Google Gemini. And I don't know, Grace, if it would be better to actually copy and paste the prompts. I think most people can probably get them or pause the video screen whenever they go back to watch it. But then we want to go into Chat GPT or Claude. I'm a Claude fan, but then you want to take one of the titles that you came up with and tell it, hey, you're an expert copywriter with focused expertise in writing to appeal to owners of small business. There we go. Thank you, Grace. She's putting the prompts here in the chat if you want to just copy and paste them. I'm asking them to write an outline for a comprehensive blog post with this title, written to appeal to this buyer. Okay. And you'll get a really, really solid outline. You definitely want to fact check, want to look at everything, make sure that outline is the way that you want it, of course. And then you can go straight into using the outline you created. Now, write a comprehensive blog post, include lists, literary devices, and write in the style of, you could put Laura Johns, founder and CEO of the Business Growers. I'm not sure that I'm the best expert, but if you have a marketing guru that you follow and love, you could put them in there. Anybody that you love their tone and style on the internet, you can put them in there. But that would be next. to get the comprehensive blog post written. Now, again, I'm a fan of, we have copywriters here in house. We check everything, we fact check everything, and look over it with a real human set of eyes. But the third prompt would be, for this article, write a key takeaway section and an FAQ section with at least 5 questions and answers. That's really good for continuing to build that engagement in those blog pieces, content pieces. And then here's how you repurpose it for video. You can quite literally rewrite this a little bit for the different formats that we talked about earlier that you're going to serve your audience with this year. And then guess what? We can do the same thing with social media. This just touches on video, social media, blog content. Obviously, you can take this, and for those of you that are camera shy, this is for a video script. It should have been another slide, but you get the idea. Copy and paste this video script in one of these teleprompter apps, the Veed, IO, SpeakFlow. Those are 2 teleprompter apps that you can immediately utilize. Taking this prompt on the previous slide right here, it gives you the video script. You take the teleprompter apps, give yourself a video script, step in front of a ring light or a good window, and you have fresh video content. It does not have to be that frightening. You can do this. You can create your own content. And then tools that we love here at the Business Growers, taking Descript or Opus Clip and using that video to clip it up into small video pieces, because quite literally you can take that one article that you created right here, get a video script for it, do a quick video or a long video, and then chop it up into multiple pieces of social media, and do this all with your phone. How awesome is that? So if we go into, I'm going to go back to the very last kind of piece of the workbook. You kind of check what you want. You've entered all that. This is pretty small to be able to enter all of it, so you'll probably have to expand this a little bit, but for the sake of space, you'll see these are small. This gives you, of course, you can go back and tell ChatGPT how many pieces of content, take each blog post, each topic that you created. If you have 20 topics, turn those into multiple pieces of content using the video prompt, using the prompt for social media, using the prompt for blog content. Go in and rewrite those prompts that we gave you, utilizing these different content avenues. And then you can also decide, hey, we want to distribute this, of course, social media. We want to distribute this XYZ different ways. And you can go ahead and quite literally map out your entire year of content right here, right now. Might take some time, maybe just get January, February, March settled. But utilizing those prompts and video scripts, that's how you plan out your year. Are there any questions from, and again, this was fast and furious. I strongly, strongly encourage you to go back, rewatch, pause it as you need to, but you just found every hole that there is in your business that you need to go execute on in 2025. You know what your budget is. You know how many leads you need to generate. You have access to every single, the video from last year on every single foundational element you need set for your marketing plan. And now we just created you the entire year's worth of content so that you can start developing content. And most importantly, positioning yourself and your business as the authority in your industry, in your service area. One of the questions we just got, is it better to be generic or super specific in topics? The more, just like a conversation with AI, that's a great question. I think that a lot of times we lean toward generic because in general, we're lazy and we want ChatGPT or Gemini to figure it out for us. But just like in explaining someone what you do or giving someone information about your business, the more specific you are in giving information to the AI tools, the better. And keep in mind, this is I would also consider adding to the end of your marketing planning. What 3 AI tools can I implement this year in my business to make us more productive? Of course, something like this, what I just showed you, is one of them. But also, we're utilizing, of course, you can utilize chat for lead generation. There's AI chat that you can do. There's so many things that you can do, incorporate right now, your project management. I have a whole webinar on our YouTube with Jonathan Mass, where we give MSPs and IT businesses very specific use cases for AI in their business. Be sure you go back and watch that. Again, be sure you go back and watch the 2024 webinar. I feel like this has given you all the pieces and exactly what you need to set a solid foundation for 2025. And if you see right here on this slide, I have a calendar dedicated to scheduling sessions, hashing through this, walking through this with folks. If, of course, I sped through and you go back and watch it and there are some questions that I can answer for you, please feel free to book time with me using this link right here. go.thebusinessgrowers.com/MSP-schedule-session. There'll be a couple of qualifying questions just to understand a little bit more about you and your business. And then we can schedule a call and jump straight into hashing this out and helping developing your plan. I'd be more than happy to do that. Thank you so much for joining. This is the first of 2. So if you loved this and you want someone else from your team to sit on a live webinar and allow them, Grace just dropped the link to my schedule in the chat. If for whatever reason you want to get back on in December and hash this out again, we're doing it again. Let's make sure that you are dialed in and you're ready to conquer and kill it with your marketing. And like I said from the very beginning, and we appropriately named this your $1 million MSP marketing plan, because I genuinely believe that if you focus on these 3 core elements of marketing, and then also content planning and making sure you're producing and being relevant and educating and building authority in your industry, I'm 100% certain that $1 million in revenue at least will come to you. So if you want more information about the Business Growers, who we are, you can go to thebusinessgrowers.com. Of course, be sure to subscribe to the No Grow Scale podcast, and we'll see you on the next one in December. If you are interested in getting more information about that, be sure to email hello@thebusinessgrowers.com if you don't get our emails today, and we'll be sure we enroll you in our next email for the next webinar.